Good morning, everyone. June 11th, 2020, and welcome to episode number 22 of the Project 2020 show. Before we begin, I have to say thank you to everybody who has recently subscribed to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. We're just under 1,300 subs, and the goal is strong, but can we make it to 1,600 by Monday morning? So if you're a fan of Project 2020 and not subscribed, hit that button. So just when we thought we were going to have a nice, sleepy, relaxing Thursday with an Old Man Allen card and somebody else, they dropped the Mr. Cartoon Mark McGwire on us, and I think it's a fantastic looking card. It screams Mr. Cartoon. From an art perspective, I think it's going to display very, very nicely for any Athletics fan or McGwire fan. For me personally, it's not touching foot on anything displayed here at my house as a Mariners fan, but look, it is a fantastic looking card, and I think it's a great addition to Project 2020. So what are we going to cover today? Very simple. We have the typical market update. We have a pre-order check-in. We have the announcements. We're going to cover McGwire. We're going to cover George Brett. But I did add something new into the pre-order projections, and that is going to be pricing from the past 7 days, what we expect that card to be worth in the market after the print runs are announced. So it's a new addition. I felt people have been asking for more pricing, and I felt it was a good way to throw in pricing based on print runs. So take a look at that section here towards the middle when we talk about pre-orders. But look, the topic of the day is very simple. It's the surge is coming, but it's not the surge of pricing. It's the surge of inventory, and it's the surge of people looking to offload these cards. One thing that I have not spoken about a lot on the show particularly is my live report. So what I've been tracking on the website on top of the checklist is what cards are live. So let's take a look at that real quick, and I'll explain what I'm talking about with the surge. So here's that checklist that's on the website, and it's very straightforward. You know, obviously it's the player, the artist, the print run, the rank. Is it live? Yes or no? And then the one of one, has it been seen? But the key here is the live report. So as of right now, we have up to card 74 live. Now I did see 77 live yesterday, but it was missing the seal. I reached out to the seller. He didn't send me a photo of all 10. Only one was missing the seal. He said he updated the listing, but that was interesting. But when you look at 75, 76 through 89, now for some perspective here, we between 1 and 74, there are only 321,000 cards produced that are live sort of in the economy right now. By the time we reach card 89, so just from 75 to 89, there are 371,000 cards about to be released into the economy. Then when you even go a step further and you look at card 90 to 99, we have a total of 681,000 cards being released in that time frame. So when we think about the surge, there are going to be a ton of copies being released that are going to be $20, $21, $22, $25. People looking to offload this inventory, and it's just going to crush the pricing when you look at the market overall and the volume perspective. Look, I have the cards I got yesterday in $34.99, $30, stuff like that, and I think I've sold a couple at that price point. But I got some offers at like $19, $21. I'm not even going to accept that at the moment. Maybe I'm wrong for doing that, but I'm not selling it at basically a loss at the moment. So when you think of the surge and you think of where the market's going to be over the next month, I think it's going to be very, very, very rough. There's not going to be much, I think, positive news because so many people got into this at this time frame, and now we're about to see those cards come in. So when we look at the market here in a second, don't be alarmed to see the drop in the average pricing and the volume uptick. The volume is going to increase, and the pricing to me is just continue to fall because there's not enough inventory pre-card 75 to make up for the just surge of lower dollar cards coming in. So we're in for another, I think, a rough month probably of the market pricing just because of the amount of low dollar cards hitting the market and people trying to offload. So now let's look at that market real quick and then get to pre-order data. I think it goes without saying we need more people like Mr. Cartoon hawking their cards in the most positive way, because look at that movement again on Mr. Cartoon, 407 up from the average of 397. I mean, everything else is literally double digit decreases, but people are looking for that cartoon because of his promotion. So we need more of that in the economy. We need more of that to stem some of these losses. But look, rough day overall, but no surprise when you look at where the market is in general at the moment. And here's that chart. And as I spoke a second ago, look, it's going to continue to fall off, and it's going to continue to level off because we have 321,000 cards live right now, but over the next couple of weeks, we're going to release another 371,000. So 700, almost 700,000 cards are about to be out in total, and half of those are being purchased by people who thought they could make $100 on these cards. Now they're basically selling for like $25. So we've got to be mindful of that. So you can see that volume uptick. You can see that the price continue to drop. So look, that's what we're going to see over the next month. I just don't see how we get positive here in the next, I think through June, just because of the inventory. So we'll see if these print runs start dropping this month for July and August. But for now, I think we're going to still see a lot of the same things on this chart as we go forward. Now, let's get to some better news and let's get to some pre-order data. Also, if you're thinking or asking where do all these graphics come from or the numbers, please check out the website, crtsportscards.com. Go to my Project 2020 page, and it has everything there for you. And you can quickly reference any number that I talk about here on the show. So last minute look in on Jeter and Gibson. And if you just saw on Twitter, I did raise up the floor on Jeter, and it's simply because he came in at 494 reservations. We had a target of 450. That was a last minute surge on eBay for this card. So I didn't think that 25,000 was a respectable floor anymore. It really feels at 27 to 31 is that number. I was really hoping to not see 30 on this card, but it looks like we're going to see a high 27 number or 28 number. But we'll see what happens with this card. It's a little bit hard to say because of just how popular Jeter is versus the Gibson. We'll find out, but I think the range is better now at 27 to 31. And then Gibson, look, the numbers came in very similar to what we expected, so I'm not changing the range there at 6 to 9K. That is a large gap when it comes to that small of a number. But I think when we saw yesterday's Doc Gooden, I feel very confident in the Gibson falling in that range. Now, let's look at the new pricing structure for these two cards. So when you look at his prices here, what I've done is I've taken the card above the print run and then below the projected print run. So that's going to leave us with his SIF at 48,000 and his Steel at 20,000. So his 7-day trending price for the SIF is $22. Now that card, of course, isn't even out yet. But then the Thiel also is not out yet, but that is at least trending at $38 over the past 7 days. But that card's only at 20,000. So if you have a 30,000 print run card here, you're looking probably right in the middle of, $30, $29. It is Jeter, but I don't know how we get over $35 with this card, at least for the next month until it comes out or we see something happen with the product. And then on the Gibson, two ranges here. There's a big gap here though, but the Ermsey is at 14.8 thousand. That 7-day trending number is $32. And then his 6.7 thousand print run Beck is at $35. So on this card, I think it's right in the middle, 33, 32, 35. I mean, all those are basically the same number at the end of the day. So, that little high, that low 30 range for Gibson overall. So now when you look at the pre-orders from yesterday's card, so the Ripken and the Roberto Clemente, we have a little better story when it comes to the synergy of the two. So Ripken is at 186 and Clemente is at 101. So the ranges, the predicted 48-hour pre-order numbers are very simple. It's 275 and 150. And then when you look at a print range perspective on these cards, the Ripken, to me, 22 to 25,000. I don't think it gets to Ben Baller's Doc Gooden at 25,000, but I do like right now that range of 22 to 25. Ben Baller's cards have been the hardest to predict or forecast in a sense because he's always sold so many more on tops than he has on eBay. So we'll see where that comes in tonight. But right now, initial reaction is 22 to 25 for that Ripken. And then on the Clemente, look, 9 to 12,000 on this one. It's not going to sell as well as the Ripken, but I think when you look at only having 100 pre-orders right now and 150 in total, I think that's a solid range for him at the moment. Now, let's look at pricing on these cards if those ranges hold true. Now, the Ripken is going to be very difficult here because as we talked about yesterday, Cal Ripken has 4 cards under 2.7 thousand and then 1 card at 41,000. But his 41,000 card Don Seed, his last 7 days is $18. And then his 2.6 thousand Beck is at 135. But when you think back to, a Derek Jeter at 20,000 or a Derek Jeter at 25,000, maybe this card gets to $30, maybe 32, 33. It's hard to say on Ripken just because the gap is so large. So there's a lot of unknown because Ripken has never had a card perform sort of in that middle, ground or the norm at the moment when it comes to this set. So we'll find out on him. And then Clemente, His two ranges here are his 11.5 thousand Taylor, which right now is trending at $19, and then his 8.86 or sorry 8,000 or sorry 8.6 thousand old man Allen is trending at $30. So 9 to 12,000, you're probably looking at a high 20 card. 28, 27. This card visually obviously looks better than old man Allen's card, so the collectors might go to that card more than this one. But right now, I think $30 is a good one if we fall in that 9 to 12,000 range. Leading us off today is going to be the Old Man Allen George Brett. And of course, Old Man Allen has a very, very clean style. Some would say boring, some would say uneventful, but look, that's Old Man Allen's style. But how did we get here with Old Man Allen, and where were his cards before? So he led us off with Gwynn, then he had Koufax, Mariano Rivera, Roberto Clemente, and then he had his recent one, which I think was the best looking one, is the Ted Williams. From a print run perspective, look, his first three cards were rather low. The Koufax did kind of spike for relative terms back at card 36. His Clemente moved to 8,600, and then, of course, in the boom, Williams sold 41,000. When you look at Brett overall, he has had this is going to be his sixth card, and we just saw him last week with the Keith Shore. But of course, his SIF was number one, then Mr. Cartoon, Tyson Beck, Grotesque, and Keith Shore. He has sold just under 22,000 cards. He is actually the lowest printed athlete in this set. So you're mixing Old Man Allen, somebody who does not have the biggest following, with the lowest printed athlete. It's going to be curious to see where this card falls. And then his best card overall is number 102, the Keith Shore. So where does this card end? It's really hard to say. Do we see it fall under 10,000 again, 8,000, 7,000? It's going to be curious because George Brett, no matter what artist he has not sold well, even in relative terms like with the Shore. So we will find out. Now let's look at that Mark McGwire. So look at that McGwire. And look, I'm not even an A's fan. I actually kind of dislike the A's, being a Mariners fan. But when you think of Mr. Cartoon, you think of a display piece, you think of these as artwork. There's so much cool artwork in there, and it just, as soon as I saw the card, I knew it was Mr. Cartoon, and I didn't even need to see the actual artist's name. Sometimes I need to look at the artist, but this one, very simple, Mr. Cartoon, Mark McGwire. Fantastic looking card, in my opinion. Now, when you look at Mr. Cartoon, we just had him last week. So his first card was Clemente, and I hope some of you picked up that autograph version or saw the Instagram information and were able to pick up one of those. So hopefully that will make you some nice coin on the back end. But from Clemente, we went to George Brett, then we went to Dwight Gooden, Jackie Robinson, and then recently with his Don Mattingly print run rise. Clemente 1,800, Brett 23, Gooden 5,000. And like I said last week, he has been on a natural escalator up every single week. He keeps getting better and better and better. From a print run perspective, now, will this McGwire top 27,000? That's very hard to say at the moment, because when you look at McGwire, he's had F-Dot at 1,400, the Shore was at 1,200, Natural, Jameson, Thiel. His only, the last two cards are the reason why he's the 10th best athlete, or the average right now in Project 2020. I mean, he sold 43,000 cards, but 38,000 of that has come in the past 2 weeks, or 3 weeks maybe. Like I said a second ago, he is the most average athlete out there at the moment. He's ranked 10th per card average, and then his best card is number 97, the Andrew Thiel. So, like I said, where does this card end up? It's too hard to say right now. I don't see it. I don't think in the moment he tops 27,000, but it could surprise us. Let's find out tomorrow morning when we see that pre-order data. So as they say, it's time to buckle up for a bumpy ride. We're going to see what happens over the next month or so with the pricing, but we're just about to release nearly 400,000 cards into the economy, so we're going to find out what happens. But with that, guys, have a fantastic Thursday, and I'll see you back tomorrow for episode number 23.